Good morning, Pomfret. Your first chapel speaker tried to learn 7 languages, but successfully learned 3.5. Your second chapel speaker swam with sharks. And your third chapel speaker was a bagpipe enthusiast growing up. Your chapel speakers today are Georgia Chen, Milanna Lamontagne, and Maeve Molloy. Enjoy.
Good morning, Pomfret. As a child, I heard the word don't more than I could count. Don't stay too close to the TV, don't run in the hallway, and don't say disrespectful things. Each warning was delivered to me with absolute certainty, but I could never figure out what could have happened if I had disobeyed the rules. No one ever bothered to explain it to me. What happens if I stayed too close to the TV? If I ran in the hallway, what could happen? What happens if I say the wrong thing? The intentional blank left my imagination to run wild, and often it runs a little too wild. Sometimes these imaginations are harmless. If I run in the hallway, I could fall and trip, maybe get a scratch or bruise. Other times, they give me the biggest anxiety attacks. Because of warnings such as don't say disrespectful things, there is no clear line nor a solid definition. What is appropriate to say to my friends and not to my teachers? I don't know. And suddenly, every word sounds like a risk. The risk feels even heavier in front of my friends. If I say the wrong thing, I fear being judged, teased, or misunderstood. A single careless mistake could change how they view me, making me seem rude or insensitive. I imagine their eyes flick with confusion and disappointment, letting out a forced laugh. Even though these are all my imagination, the thought alone fills my head. I feel as if I am walking on a tightrope, being constantly weighed down by the chains of what-ifs. Every time I wanted to say something, my subconscious would remind me of the don'ts. Then I couldn't bring myself to speak. Eventually, I got tired of thinking twice, of replaying every word in my head before it even left my mouth, and missing the right timing to talk. So I withdrew and stopped talking because silence felt safer than saying the wrong thing. These seemingly protective measures of not speaking ironically also have their consequences. I gradually became a person without authentic thoughts. I could not come up with personal opinions, compliments, or write a decent paper. During group discussions, I would nod along, mimicking the words of others. Inside, I felt hollow, as if my own mind had been muted. Every time the teacher asked for my opinion, I struggled to remember what thinking even felt like. All I thought about was the way it is presented in printed text. When I finished reading The Little Prince in 8th grade, I recapped the story. There was a little prince who lived on a tiny planet. He takes care of the rose every day. The rose was beautiful but fragile, and so on. These words came from the text itself. They aren't my own words. I could recount the story perfectly, but the question stayed locked in my mind. Why is the rose so fragile? What made the rose important? I wanted to wonder, to speculate, to feel something new, but my mind had grown accustomed to quiet compliance. Curiosity existed, but my thoughts could not reach it. As I arrived at the hilltop, my habits still lingered, and I carefully picked the safe words to say, the ones that I had observed people using before. Even as the words left my mouth, they weren't authentic to me. I realized I was speaking, but wasn't truly representing who I am. I only represented a mix and match of behaviors copied from other people. That is, until a new phrase began appearing frequently in my friends' conversations, a phrase I had never heard before. So what? It sounds pretty reckless at first, but when I thought about it again, it changed everything. So what if I stayed too close to the TV? I can simply sit further or not watch it for too long. So what if I actually fell in the hallway? I can stand right back up. If I do get a scratch, put a bandage on. So what if I made a joke and my friend got offended? I can sincerely apologize and try to understand their perspective. So what brought me down to the ground and freed me from the chains of don'ts? It reminded me that consequences are inevitable in life. Even if I stopped talking, there were still invisible effects that were happening. So I started to trust myself. I spoke more in front of my friends, asked questions when I was confused in class, and disagreed when I needed to. And slowly, I started thinking again, actual thinking. When I went back to reading The Little Prince this summer, I finally learned something about the rose. The rose was the little prince's beloved. She was fragile, but she was also his responsibility. She was unique to him, not because she was the only rose, but because he had cared for her. Just as the rose became special through care and attention, my ideas only became real when I dared to express them, question them, and take responsibility for them. Now, I don't live under the fear of every possible outcome. I still think carefully before I speak, not because I'm scared of being wrong, but because I wanted to get my thoughts conveyed clearly. I've learned that silence isn't safe, and perfection is not the goal. I make mistakes, and consequences will follow, but none of them should stop me from moving forward, because really, so what? Thank you to my friends who introduced me to the phrase, Eric, Cece, and Bill. Eric, on the ride back from the Heart Walk, I asked you if I should include my gratitude to my friends. You told me that it is worth mentioning since opportunities to truly show gratitude don't come often. Like any other time, your words answered my questions, helping me see what I hadn't been able to see on my own. Thank you for being the most energetic person when we hang out. Bill, thank you for being my friend both online and offline. You've tolerated my bad gameplay, except in Overcooked, and offered words that comfort me whenever I'm low. Cece, you're like my second mom. Thank you for always being there for me and supporting me through everything I need. Kelly, you always listen and laugh with me. Thank you for being my friend and dorm mate since day one. Mr. Lyon, thank you for your constant support and everything you've done for me and the advisory. Aaron, thank you for taking care of me, but always giving me the space to grow. Without you, I wouldn't have discovered all that Pomfret has to offer. Thank you for being the best brother I could ever ask for. 妈妈，你在看我演讲的时候，可能会想，你早就教过我这个道理了，我当时就是没听，对不起。爸爸妈妈，谢谢你们为我和哥哥无时无刻的付出，无论是陪伴我们成长，还是支持我们出来探险，我都很感激，我爱你们。My name is Georgia Chen, and I'm a 4-year senior here on the Hilltop. Thank you, Pomfret.
Good morning, Pomfret. Let your evolution begin. You may have encountered this Pomfret motto before, perhaps on the school website, in the admissions video upon your acceptance, or written on one of the school walls. Initially, when I was accepted and watched my admissions video, I was confused. What does this motto truly signify? How am I expected to evolve? However, as soon as I set foot on campus, the meaning of Pomfret's motto became increasingly clear. My first week at Pomfret was intense and extremely overwhelming, yet transformative. The hectic schedule at the start of the school year, adapting to dorm life and a new community, striving to form new friendships, joining the soccer team, and experiencing life away from home for the first time all contributed to this sense of overwhelming stress. The most daunting moment occurred when I accidentally overslept for our first varsity soccer game. Although they were just scrimmages, it was our first away games, which were against Rivers and then Andover on the same day. So at 7 a.m. on a Sunday, our captain knocked on my door, and I dashed out in the state I woke up in. No breakfast, no bathroom stop, just a quick change and ran to the bus. I was not a good sight, and everyone was already on the bus waiting for me. Being late that day, especially during my first week, was terrifying. I feared I had made the worst first impression, feeling ashamed and worried that everyone, especially Coach Fisher and Deary, would see me as this irresponsible and inconsiderate new girl. Yet this early experience marked the beginning of my evolution at Pomfret. The lesson, though learned the hard way and slightly traumatizing, served as a constant reminder of the importance of being mindful and respectful of others' time. It's one of those pivotal moments that, while small, are crucial in shaping character growth. I have also embarked on my own journey of evolution through sports. I am a member of 3 different national sports teams in the Cayman Islands, representing and competing for my country. And I'm not trying to brag here, really I am not, as truly I just ended up being a big fish in a small pond. As Cayman, being an island, is extremely small. With a population of just 76,000 people, means there are limited individuals available to represent Cayman. This reality often creates the illusion of being a top player at an international level. However, the truth becomes apparent when competing against other countries. I will give you an example. When playing for the U17 Cayman Islands national soccer team, I had the opportunity to play in the CONCACAF World Cup qualifiers in Curacao, which was an incredible opportunity and an amazing yet humbling experience, one that I am very grateful for, but unfortunately, we did not do so well. Against El Salvador, we didn't just lose 1-0, 2-0, or 3-0, but 12-0, because that's just how high the level is. That's right, 12-0, which was quite embarrassing for Cayman. These girls from El Salvador were insanely and exceptionally talented, and reality is, we were underprepared. Another big reality check for me was joining Pomfret and participating in NEPSAC. I didn't expect the level of athleticism and competition to be so intense. I've experienced victories, but also faced challenging losses. In squash, I've come close to being bageled, a term in squash when you lose 11-0 in a game. In soccer, I've learned about the complexities of teamwork and the importance that mindset matters most. And in golf, competing against other schools made me nervous, often being the only girl. The opportunity to play in NEPSAC and the U.S. was the humbling experience I needed. I discovered not only the immense talent of others, but also that I myself have so much that I could improve on. Playing in the U.S. for just a year has enabled me to grow as both a player and as a person. Unlike in Cayman, where I was a big fish in a small pond, Pomfret has challenged me, as here I am, a small fish in a big pond, motivating me to seize every opportunity, prove my worth, and to prove to myself that I deserve to be here and on the teams I am proudly on. With this mindset, and as I continue my senior year, I am eager to advance my evolution in the sports I play and love. Last year, I took Mr. Boyd's class on U.S. government during the fall term. As an assignment, I was put to organize the transportation for voters participating in the 2024 presidential election. Prior to this class, my knowledge of U.S. politics was minimal, so the task felt quite daunting. I had to communicate and coordinate with numerous teachers and students I had never met before. And being in my first term, this pushed me to do a truly difficult task. The assignment involved managing and coordinating various schedules and initiating conversation with unfamiliar faces, so I was a bit hesitant, but I knew the importance of taking the initiative and an opportunity for me to start to get to know more people. This task ended up being incredibly rewarding, as it made me feel really helpful and useful. It may have just been an assignment, but the experience stuck with me ever since because it gave me a sense of accomplishment. I had pushed myself to do something that I had felt incredibly anxious about, which only came out with a rewarding positive outcome. Letting my evolution begin has allowed me to embrace my personal development and facilitate my growth as a person. Reflecting on the past school year, I can recognize multiple different experiences where I showed growth and gained a deeper understanding of the world around me through academics, athletics, and my social interactions. This evolution required a lot of discipline and resilience to face many of my own challenges and obstacles along the way, but I chose to develop myself, rather than letting life passively happen. Of course, I still have the rest of my life to continue to evolve, through college, adulthood, and beyond. I acknowledge that I'm not perfect, and no one is. There are areas I need to work on now, and will likely focus on more in different phases of life. New experiences will arise and be essential to my ongoing evolution. So Pomfret, I encourage you to embrace your evolution. Remain positive and resilient in the face of challenges, as these are truly opportunities for growth. Discover more about yourself and develop new skills. There's nothing to lose in doing so. With 350 students from 29 states and 29 countries, Pomfret has a vibrant multicultural student body that we should appreciate, embrace, respect, and learn from. Among the 350 students at our school, 135 are new students. Whether this is your first year or in your final year at Pomfret, I hope your personal evolution is one of self-discovery, meaning, and growth, just as it has been for me. Now I would like to thank those who have guided me and have been part of my Pomfret evolution. Thank you, God, for your guidance and many blessings. Thank you to the Horse Advisory for being like my family away from home. I'm always super excited for our Tuesday night dinners and the fun games that we play while eating dessert. Thank you to all my amazing friends. You're all such loving, caring, and genuine people, and I am so lucky to have met you all. Thank you, Mr. Lake, for always pushing me and believing in me. I love astronomy because of you, and your impact will stay with me always. Some of my best memories from last year were from the West Virginia trip. Thank you, Pablo, for your continuous support and guidance. Your dedication in teaching me and how fun you make class has made a significant difference in my Spanish and in my confidence. Thank you to all the staff, which includes the dining hall, the tuck, the cleaning team, mailroom, groundwork, and everyone that makes this beautiful Pomfret community. There must be so much done behind the scenes that makes my experience and everyone else's experience here so much better. I'm grateful for all of you and for all that you do for us. Papa, merci beaucoup pour tout ce que tu fais pour moi. Je suis tellement reconnaissant pour tout que tu m'as donné et je t'admire pour ta positivité et ton dévouement. J'aimerais pouvoir être plus comme toi. Je t'aime beaucoup. Mamá, gracias por ser literalmente la mejor mamá del mundo. Admiro lo generosa, cariñosa y atenta que eres, y odio admitirlo, pero sí, también admiro tus habilidades de moda. Estoy muy agradecida por todo lo que haces por mí. Te amo mucho. My name is Milanna Lamontagne, and I'm a 2-year senior on the Hilltop. Thank you, Pomfret.
Good morning, Pomfret. Nobody's perfect was a common phrase everyone heard growing up. In school, sports, and at home, this term was used to minimize the idea of perfection. But for me, this idea never stuck. Growing up, I let perfection control me. While some could lose something at night and say, I will find it in the morning, I was the opposite. I wouldn't allow myself to sleep until my missing item was found, even if it was late, because I couldn't rest knowing I had made the mistake of misplacing something. Before school, I'd obsess over my ponytail, throw fits, and redo my hair as many times as it took until I was satisfied. My mom even had a t-shirt saying, "Fix my ponytail and try again." This compulsive desire for perfection manifested differently growing up. I gave up on 4th grade math because I couldn't complete problems perfectly. I would become sick before minor quizzes or tests in middle school, and I became my own worst critic. But this wasn't an early years phase. As I've grown, my heightened emotions around perfection have stayed. Going into my freshman year at Pomfret, I was determined. I was going to rebrand myself because I was tired of letting my perfectionism take control of me. I moved into Niffen, and my parents left me to start my year. By the next week, my room was a disaster. I was getting frequent visits from Miss Jones, who was giving me points for having a messy room each week, but it didn't improve. This new me, who didn't think anything could become perfect, affected all aspects of my freshman year. I was late to class often, ignored all of my homework, and I cried after every game if I had a sub-perfect performance. I made myself miserable, letting the fear of not reaching the impossible expectations I had set destroy my motivation. My teachers and parents were becoming concerned about my lack of effort. Despite my trials to avoid obsessing over perfection, I found myself creating a version with more imperfections to focus on than before. It wasn't until halfway through the winter of my freshman year that I realized I had lost who I was. During our routine check-ins with the hockey coaches, I understood the damage. I was told that if I didn't figure out my grades, fix my reputation in the dorm, and change the negative spotlight I'd placed on myself, then I should reconsider if Pomfret was the place for my next 3 years. The idea of not returning to Pomfret because I was becoming someone I wasn't woke me up. Although it took putting my place at Pomfret on the line, I knew I needed to make a change. I began to focus on making my work as perfect as possible and on time, keeping my room spotless, and ensuring I arrived at class before it started to make up for my not-so-perfect attendance at the start. I learned to redefine my perfect. I no longer obsess over my ponytail every day, my room gets messy, and on occasion, I don't do the homework to the best of my ability. Although I still feel defeated when I do fail, I have overcome being fixated on what might go wrong, instead thinking about what can go right. I now consider a perfect day to be filled with things I love, trying my best, and not making excuses for myself. Although teachers and coaches still say, nobody's perfect, striving for my version of perfection is what ultimately makes me who I am, and benefits me more than aiming for mediocrity. My message is not that I'm perfect, or that being perfect is obtainable. It is to redefine what perfect means to you. To the people who have helped me become my version of perfect, Mr. Matthew and Coach Peltz, both of you worked to foster my goals of perfection on and off the ice. I couldn't thank you both enough for your support in teaching. Mr. and Mrs. Griffin, although you were only my advisors for a year, you both had a huge impact on me. Miss Griffin, you were always there to give me some tough love in the moments I couldn't see perfect in anything. Mr. Griffin, you are always interested in what I have going on, showing me how much support you have for me. Thank you both, and I know Pomfret misses you greatly. Miss Jones, thank you for welcoming me with open arms into your advisory last year. I couldn't express enough how important you have been in my time at Pomfret. You remind me when I can be a better version of myself and guide me to my goals while having my back through it all. And shout out to our perfect advisory. Gracie, meeting you freshman year in Niffen, I knew we would be best friends. You are supportive and excited for all my successes. I admire your kindness, independence, and sleep schedule. Even though you go to bed at 8:30, I couldn't imagine rooming with someone else. Thank you for being my perfect roommate. I love you. To all my friends, you guys always know the perfect things to say to lighten the mood and keep me smiling. I couldn't thank you guys enough for all the memories. Colin, I couldn't ask for a more perfect older brother. You were always there for me when I need, and there was no one I would have rather grown up with. I know we've had our ups and downs, but I know I will always have you right by my side. There's no one I'd rather make fun of Mom and Dad with, and I know I don't say it enough. Thank you, and I love you. Dad, you are my biggest cheerleader. You encourage me to push myself to be perfect in my own way every day. You drop anything when I say I need your help, and I couldn't thank you enough for that. Spending countless hours in the car with you, listening to your SoundCloud mixes is always something I can look forward to. Whether it's going on random adventures or sitting at the beach together, I know I will be laughing with you. Your endless support, specifically knowing I will always have someone at all of my games to hug me despite a win or a loss, means the world to me, and I'm so thankful for that. I couldn't ask for a better dad. I love you. Mom, whenever I'm having a hard day or I feel lost with no one to be there for me, I know you're the person who will have my back no matter what. Whether it's driving an hour just to see me for 30 minutes after a tough day or sending an email to the school, you're always right behind me. You've taught me so much in life. You've taught me how to stand up for myself and be confrontational when it's needed. You're the strongest, most hardworking person I've ever met, and you are such a big role model to me. You remind me that laziness and excuses won't get me where I want to be, and I couldn't thank you enough for all the hours you spent standing in the cold, watching me and encouraging me to chase my dreams. You see the perfect in me more than anyone. I love you. I'm Maeve Molloy, and I'm a 4-year senior here on the Hilltop. Thank you, Pomfret.
Good morning, Pomfret. And what a gloomy day it is. I was reflecting just for a moment there that I don't know that this was planned, but it seems somewhat thematic to me. This idea of growth and self-definition, being open to evolving and understanding that we are imperfect but always trying. The power of laughter and being supported by family and friends, and charting our own paths. And not always looking back with regret, but looking forward with enthusiasm and promise. I heard all of those things in your speeches today. I'm really grateful. In just a moment, our seniors will lead us out, but because it's so gloomy and rainy, we should congratulate them in the hallway of the school building. We have donuts today as well. And then the last thing I just want to remind you is that we do have guests on campus today. There's an open house. And so you might see some people looking for a place or looking lost. Please be your friendly selves, as you always are. Share the umbrella if you have one, and just welcome our guests. So with great gratitude to Georgia and Milanna, and also to Maeve, will you lead us out? Thank you.